If you've got a real estate team and you've got people that are not fulfilling your expectations as the team leader, you likely have a problem with not defining your process and your standards and your expectations. My name is Mike Novak, part of Real Brokerage. Today I want to talk about SOPs. And so what are SOPs? SOPs stand for Standard Operating Procedures. And these are absolutely super important to you if you're going to run a business that's going to be consistent and that's going to have clear expectations set for your team members on what you're looking for as the team leader for them to follow for all these different positions within your business. So what do SOPs solve? Well, they allow you to have super defined expectations so that what you're looking for is very clear and articulated to your people. It's not left to the imagination. Oftentimes as leaders, we think people are going to somehow read our mind, know what we want from them. That's not the way it works, guys. Instead, you need to be able to list those things out and, hey, this is what I'm looking for these different parts of my business, for these things, these tasks. They're super laid out in numerical order in an organized, thoughtful way that makes sense that anybody could follow. So first one is to define expectations. The second one is to really provide a proven and established workflow. So you likely have proven processes in your business that work really well. It could be transaction coordination, it could be lead conversion, whatever it is. You want to take those proven processes and break them down into micro steps that make it very easy for your teammates to follow, okay? And so that could be the workflow. I like flow charts a lot. I think when you have a flow chart and it kind of lists out like what these steps are, and then there's a written SOP to go with it, that's where you want to be. Super clear visual, and then there's the details that go step by step for the person as they need it, okay? The third thing that this solves, it gives you consistent process, and because you have a consistent process, you have a consistent and predictable outcome. When you've defined the process, when you've got standardized procedures, the outcome becomes very easy, consistently attained, because it's just a step-by-step formula. Do A, B, C, and I get D. Very, very simple that way, okay? So here's the top 5 SOPs you need for a real estate team to scale. If you nail these, life is going to be much easier for you, and your team members are going to know exactly what you're looking for. The first one, buyer agent SOPs. You need to have these detailed and have them available, and it should completely cover the buyer process. Everything from when you're talking to a buyer lead, to when you set the appointment, to when the appointment shows up, what happens if the appointment doesn't show up, to signing the person, doing the buyer consultation, showing them houses, doing a go show off Zillow. All of these buyer processes need to be listed out, and all of these considerations need to be taken into account for your buyer business. So that's the first one, is buyer business. The second one, lead conversion SOPs. What are you looking for from your lead converters, whether that's agents or ISAs, on your proven process to convert leads? What are the standards for calling, for texting? How do people move around your CRM? What are all of these expectations and processes? I have a lot of workflows I use, a lot of mind maps that kind of bring a visual reference to people on how leads move through our CRM and how, as a lead converter, you should be following up with these leads. But you need to be very clear about that. If you don't have a defined lead conversion process, you have a very big problem and should not be spending money on generating leads until you've done that, okay? So that's the second one, lead conversion. The third one, CRM SOPs. So, oh man, this one can get messy. If you start letting people in your CRM, agents, admin, and you haven't told them what your expectations are, they're just going to guess on what you're looking for. They're going to do their best, and oftentimes it's not going to be consistent with how you're doing it. If you've got thousands of people in your CRM, this can turn into a mess very, very quickly. Before you start adding people to your business and giving them access to your CRM, make sure you have a CRM SOP. Everything, statuses, action plans, tags, traditional action plans, fully automated plans, every single frickin' thing needs to be listed out. This is one of the most challenging ones to write, but it's also the one that's going to provide a lot of consistency and peace of mind for you, making sure that everyone in your CRM is organized in the same consistent way. And as a group, you're doing things the same way, right? You're not just each kind of doing your own thing. It's one standard, everyone follows a standard, okay? That's the third one. The fourth one is listing SOPs. What are the standard operating procedures for listings from when I go to a listing appointment, maybe even before I go to a listing appointment, the listing appointment itself, if I sign them, if I don't sign them, pre-listing phase, active seller phase, how we're going to negotiate offers and represent that for sellers, and then of course seller pending. So those are all things you need to be thinking about on the listing side of things. And then finally, the fifth one, really, really important, transaction management. So we had our transaction coordinator. She's an awesome veteran of the business. She's been in the business for like 30 years. She wrote all of our transaction coordination SOPs, but these are just lists of how these procedures are executed from once a file goes pending till once it actually gets closed. What is her responsibilities? What is her VA's responsibilities? What are these step-by-step processes? And how do we also manage compliance and get paid for the transaction? So make sure you're very clear in your transaction coordination SOPs. Very important to have consistency in that part of your business as well. So those are my top 5. Take the time to write these out. And the best way to write these out, guys, is whoever is doing these in your business, if it's your TC, have her start listing out step-by-step processes for everything she does, and then sit down and review these with her and make sure it's gonna be presented in a way that you're happy with. If it's you, like it's a buyer agent one, you're a buyer agent on your team, start documenting your processes and write out step-by-step instructions on how to do this. So all of our SOPs are written in Google Docs, and then we use Miro, which is a kind of a mind map tool, or Lucid Chart, both great tools and apps to use to visually provide guidance to our team on what the expectation is, and then that visual guidance is followed with an SOP in writing. We also have all these on Kajabi. So Kajabi is like an online training platform, very helpful to give people these SOPs. There's a copy they can download, and there's also the SOPs broken down into little segments of training, and then a little test in there just to make sure that they retain the knowledge and understand exactly what your expectations are. So I hope that's helpful. If you want a copy of my team's SOPs for these 5 categories, reach out to me direct. I'll put my email in the message below or in the content below here on YouTube.